Wine Dine Combine, where the world of wines unfolds right before your eyes. Today we are here with Denise from Marrone Agricola.
Yes.
So let's start first with the history and then we'll speak about the other stuff.
History is a simple history. It is the history of almost all the families in Piemonte. At the present moment we are 3 sisters taking care of everything. My younger sister Valentina is the enologue, so she is really the mommy of the wines, and she is the one taking care of the cellar and of the vineyards, because what it is very important now is more nature than what you do in the cellar. My second sister Serena works in the office because someone has to do that, and I'm traveling around. The same I'm doing here in Malta with you. I do all around because in behind the label should be a story, should be something to be told, because if not you are the same as all the others. If you take a look at the shelf you find a lot of wines coming from all over the world, but if you know something in behind it is much nicer to drink it at the end.
Obviously.
What I tell all the people visiting us at the cellar, because we are open 7 days a week for that purpose, to let people visit, is that they don't need a university degree to drink a good glass of wine. It's a feeling, it's a matter of taste, it has to be fun. So of course there's a technical good basis, but it has to be something to share with friends.
Exactly. Can you tell us something about Barolo as a region, as the place of your vineyard in Piemonte, the neighborhood, which grapes you are growing apart from Nebbiolo? I mean, that is a staple. That's why the Barolo is king of wine, so-called. So.
Barolo comes from Nebbiolo, and Nebbiolo for us is the prince of the varieties, because we're born with this kind of a taste and we like it. We like the tannins, we like the elegance that at the end you get from a Nebbiolo. Barolo is like the best of the Nebbiolos, so a small area, 11 villages, and it doesn't come from a law or from something human, but it is soil composition. So what it is underground transforms the Nebbiolo into Barolo, and all the Nebbiolo will never be a Barolo. A bad Barolo will never be a Nebbiolo. So this is the most important for everybody to understand. After that you put together the wooden aging, you put together the mentality of the producer, you put together the MGA, the Menzioni Geografica Aggiuntiva, so where the right spot is, because if it is planted here and not there, it gives you another taste, another style. So this is the most important, but just because I will never tell you Barolo is our best wine, it doesn't make any sense. Barolo is our most precious wine because it is not replicable. So that's why it is known all around the world. That's why everybody wants to try it once in a lifetime, because it is the most special thing we are able to produce, and so that's why we concentrate everything on Barolo. But consider that the quantity is so small that it's really a cherry on a cake. So upon our 180,000 bottles production yearly, we produce 20,000 of Barolo, so it's really nothing. And after that we have Barbera, we have Dolcetto, that are the most popular, the most well-known red grapes of the region, and a lot of whites. So we have we have Favorita. My grandfather still planted the Chardonnay because it was a little bit of a fashion to have an international grape. So on our production 40% is whites.
How is the terroir in your vineyards?
We have as cru as MGA, Bussia and Ciocchini, and since a week, so I'm happy to tell, also Pugnane, that completes the round of Bussia at the bottom of the area of production. So we have a round hill, a beautiful one, with 360 degrees of exposition. So luckily, because very good exposed areas that were the best ones till this climate change, now they are no more. Always consider the natural logic. The plants are under the sun. Now in August we have 40 degrees, and so they can't move. If you don't help them, poor them, they dry the grapes because there's no way to put water in. And so having all these expositions, you can mix, you can do, for example, in our line we have 3 Barolos, they will be 4, because of that I told you. And so So we mix. My grandfather was used to produce one Barolo, one specific one, mixing all the lands, because if you mix, you can use your brain and you can use in the best way what nature gives you. And so it was, but since the beginning, Barolo has been a blend of terroirs. Now, after, in the last 25 years, this MGA became more and more popular and people started to know the meaning of it.
To notice the difference.
Yeah,
in the
but
quality.
only because of the weather. Now, to give you an example, we produce an Nebbiolo that doesn't have any oak aging because of the weather. 25 years ago, thinking about a Nebbiolo without any oak, it was impossible. And this oak was like a pan in the kitchen, could cook it in the proper way. And so it was very important to choose the right one. So it's a process. Every year my sister sits with the notes of the previous year, and then at the end she throws it in a bin because it's a new vintage, it's something new, it came from the sky. So it's a way of working very strictly in contact with nature. This is a kind of a wine that if you put it on table and you sip it along all the meal, you have a lot of different wines. And this is the challenge in the nice of drinking Barolo.
The best moment when the meat comes out, Barolo comes out.
Exactly.
So guys, I'm a meat lover, what can I say?
Better. In Piemonte, there's no way to pair this wine with anything that is not meat.
Do you have a challenge to pair the other wines that you're producing with the local food in Piemonte?
Our tradition has always been eating and drinking together, so it's natural to go through. My grandfather always had a glass of Barbera together with a pasta dish, and it's normal, it pairs perfectly. A glass of Barolo together with the meat, because it helps digest it, because our recipes during the winter, when it is the right time for the Barolo, are heavy, and so if you have a help, it's much better. You can sit half an hour more at the table and eating and drinking and digesting and feeling good. So for us it is normal. What it is challenging is to change a little bit, to try to make new comparisons that sometimes they are perfect and sometimes they are not. So for example, just yesterday we were talking about drinking Barolo together with a dessert. Chocolate-based dark chocolates are perfect, so why not?
Yes,
and we have in our kitchen, we have a peach oven cooked with an amaretto biscuit in and covered with chocolate. It's perfect with Barolo.
When it comes to that pairing that you mentioned, how do you see that latest trends are emerging? Lately we saw that younger people tend to go to more fruitier, more crispier white wines, a bit very light wines, light in alcohol. Do you see that in your region as well,
Yes.
Piemonte?
Yes, and it is what I was telling you. We are happy that nature is going in this direction and our taste is going in this direction. So we are just flowing and following. But for example, Favorita, we were talking before, 𝐟𝐢𝐧𝐝, they are stronger in terms of concentration because of the weather and the lack of rain, but they are smooth and gentle and fruity and very pleasant to drink. And so also
Very
the
well
younger,
balanced, both of them.
also the younger people are enjoying a lot. We make, for example, a rosé of Nebbiolo, so coming back to Nebbiolo grape, 14.5 of alcohol, but you don't feel it. It's the perfect swimming pool wine, and it's smooth and gentle in the mouth. So luckily, because if it was totally the opposite,
It will be dry rosé.
see, and in a way that at the end we need to like our wines, and then the customers follow. So it would have been a little bit more difficult.
When it comes to aging, what is the oldest wines that you have?
On sale, we start from vintage 2012 because my grandfather wanted to sell everything. And so it's us sisters that decided to put aside every year 300 bottles, yes, to make a library. But then we go back, I have all the labels dating 73, that it is when my dad started, but we don't want to open them because maybe they are quirky, maybe they are bad, and we don't have them anymore.
The value is more into having it closed, though. I understand that. Do you have something growing in the winter among the wines?
We don't plant because we learned, because we need to learn a lot, that nitrogen given by, for example, beans, this kind of plants, can be a beautiful help, but in a short time. So we prefer to use manure, and we use a lot. You can't imagine how expensive is poo in a vine, but because it is much slower, so if the snow comes, and unfortunately not all the winters comes anymore, it gives the opportunity to the soil not to compact too much and to feed the plants for all the year long, and this is a very good help.
Now, this is not your first time in Malta.
No.
Let's mention this.
Yeah.
And we have wonderful views here, San Martino Estates, and
It's a beautiful
San
place.
Martino is having a touristic agenda behind it as well. So Dominic is taking care of this place as well.
Yeah.
And there's another 2 houses for rent.
Yeah, I slept in the other one as well.
Denise, can you tell us, do you do wine tasting on your Agricola?
Of course. Me and Mommy, 30 years ago, exactly this year, we started with 12 places around the novel table and the kitchen of home, giving some food together with the wine tasting. Today we have 130 places, we have 6 cooks, and we have, last year we met 25,000 people. So it was a play that is no more a play, and it is what I was telling you before. We love when people visit, because we are at home, we can serve the right food, we can talk about the right things, and we can show what we are talking now.
Is everybody in the region the same, or just few wineries?
No, 8 hours, so in Lang, in the neighborhood of Barolo, we are the only ones, because there's a lot of restaurants working close by with the cellar, so they are maybe in the same building.
Like symbiosis.
Yeah, but never doing something like us. We couldn't find a name for our restaurant. We called it Marrone, Cantina con Cucina, cellar with a kitchen, because it was the only way to show what we are doing. We love people that comes in at first with the idea to what to drink, and then pair it with food. On our menus, the first 4 pages talk about wines, the last 2 is the menu. So it is totally different compared to it's not just a restaurant. You need to come and find the good dishes, traditional recipes, but at first is wine place.
Do you typically serve Piemontese dishes, the local dishes?
See, again, it's the same we were talking before about the wine. So yes, traditional recipes, our style, the way we know since ever, but a little bit more understandable. There's some old recipes that are too difficult also for us nowadays, in the modern days. And so, vitello tonnato, tagliarin, brasato, bunat, but maybe in a nicer dish, maybe served in a proper way. Also, the young people can understand them with the pairing with a wine they can understand. So the way is the same.
What is your favorite dish?
It depends, because it is very seasonal. So, for example, I love what we are serving now, the ravioli filled with the cheese fondue and the truffle, for sure, because I love truffles, and now is truffle season. And they are very typical and very good with Barbera, for example, we were talking before. I love all the desserts, because they are based on hazelnuts. That is another very important ingredient of our region. There's Ferrero in Alba, for example. And so hazelnut cakes, hazelnut biscuits, meringue, everything that has to do with the hazelnuts, and also because they pair very well with Moscato, and Moscato is our Christmas wine. So this is one of the best seasons for the recipes, for what it is common at us.
You say that you like seasonal food. What is your best pairing with Barolo? Which dish?
Allora, the best one is that one, brasato, meat, roast, something that has a sauce, because mainly a wine-made sauce, because it calls back what there's in the sauce and in the glass. Then also roast, but you said you are a meat eater. Yes, with this kind of wines, you have to be this way. Meat calls very well the strong reds of our region.
The robustness of the Barolo.
Yeah.
but Nebbiolo wouldn't be a king if it doesn't pair with meat.
See, no, it's true, it's correct. And in Piemonte we have our meat, we have the fassona. So again, it's a kind of a meat that pairs very well. It is not the Fiorentina that everybody knows. It has a very low content of fat inside. This is also the reason why we can eat it raw. And so the raw fassona meat together with a glass of something lighter, like the rosé, like we produce this Chardonnay fermented and aged in oak that is beautiful. It pairs perfectly with raw meat. And so there's always something to pair well.
What is the yield of Barolo, Nebbiolo grapes towards the Barbera grapes that you have?
We decide as a seller always to remain a little bit lower, but Barolo is allowed till 6.5 tons per hectare, Barbera till 8.5, and so you have more or less 20% more of production.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because different regions, different.
See, and different kind of grapes. Yeah,
grapes,
to have the DOC, to have the DOCZ, there's a lot of very strict rules in behind, but then again, there's your mentality. For sure, the less you produce, the higher quality you have.
Obviously. And how many hectares of vineyards do you have?
All together we have 17 hectares. What we were mentioning before, in Barolo we had 2 hectares that now become 4 with this increasing that we had, but that's the limit, and we are renting for 10 years. We are not buying, because now the soil of Barolo, it's in between 2 and 4 million euros per hectare. So nobody buys, nobody sells, it's a number written on a piece of paper.
It's a status quo right now.
Yes.
And when you're mentioning the vineyards itself, the places, what is your favorite spot?
I love La Morra and Barolo because this is my landscape. When I open the eyes, this is the countryside that I like. But step by step, a lot of producers are recovering higher upon sea level vineyards to plant, for example, Pinot Noir, to plant varieties that needs to have fresh air, and it's getting better and better. Again, talking about visiting the region, it's recovering, it's like a garden. Every leaf is in a line, so it's a beautiful place.
Thank you, Denise. Let's go and drink some wine then.
Yes.
Cheers.
And waiting for the good food of after.
Finally, we arrived here at Dical house for the testing of more wines of Marrone. No, we spoke and we tested Barolo. And I really wanted to try Barbera grapes. And you're having Barbera di Alba Superiore.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about this wine?
What we were mentioning before, Barolo is the most precious, so the most popular, the most well-known around the world. But Barbera was our everyday wine. Superior, the one that you read on the label, means they are the eldest vineyards that we have, the highest quality that we produce. Of this Barbera, we produce 3,000 bottles per year, so it's nothing again. We are again in the same philosophy of a Barolo, but in Barbera style, because not always people enjoys same way Nebbiolo or Barbera. Sometimes taste is different and people prefers the Barbera style.
True. And mentioning that you're producing only 3,000 per year, would you consider that this be a good investment for somebody who likes Barbera, that he buys more bottles of it and keep it for himself?
Be careful, because the aging potential is not the same as Nebbiolo family. So yes, for sure. We are selling now in the cellar till vintage 2016, and it is very, very good. But you can't age it forever. So one day or the other, you need to find a good friend and to open it.
Like all the wines, they end up being open somehow.
Yes.
When it comes to Barolo, what is the aging potential of 3 Barolos that you have?
We have 3 Barolos, as you say, and the Bussia, that is the one that represents the single MGA Bussia, is the one that has more aging potential because of the power, because of the structure, because of the concentration of the grape, because of the soil composition again, imagine it till 20 years.
Which is a really good potential.
It is, and it's funny, it's interesting, because step by step every year we always suggest to the ones that have the curiosity to do it to buy 6 bottles. So every couple of years you open one and you see the evolution, because there's not the straight point, okay, tomorrow open it. Maybe you like it 1 year before, your friend likes it 1 year after, because it's again a matter of taste.
True. And apart from Barbera and Barolo, you can mention some other wines that you have. You say that you have very limited Chardonnay.
Exactly, the Chardonnay that is here on table
Until
again.
I open this wine.
Yes, it is the same situation as the Barbera, as the Barolo, because we produce it in very small quantity. Again, for a matter of nature, because my grandfather planted these vineyards 40 years ago. And so if I plant them today, I need to wait 40 years. So it is a life-lasting work, and so this one is limited for that reason. The other white, the one that we start with, that is the Favorita, it is, grazie, it is what we mentioned before, so fresh, easy to understand, a pleasant wine that has the same roots, the same DNA as the Vermentino, and so it is like our aperitif, because we are not producing any bubble wines. Yeah.
Tested it last time. Can you tell me which corks do you utilize?
Allora, at first, so mainly single piece, so cork of cork, but we tried many of them. We made some trials also with the screw caps, we made some trials with the sugar cane. For example, this one is sugar cane, and the only one that satisfies us 100% is the single piece, but it is limited again because the plants are not producing enough cork for all the wine production, so that's why we try to keep aside for the best wines that we have.
Obviously. Have you experimented with the glass corks?
No, never.
Screwed up?
Screw, yes, I told you, and we bottled in May 2,900 bottles of 𝐟𝐢𝐧𝐝, and my sister, as technician, she says it is the best ever. But we are Italian, how can I sell them? There's no way. So next year she wanted to bottle all the fresh whites in screw cap, because for the quality is the best, but I'm not able to sell them.
You're not able to sell them in Italy, though.
See, but also the German, for example, I was speaking with, the mentality is hard to change, so I hope in the future, because it is more quality.
Yes, you keep the fresh wine fresh, it's usually sold same year or the year after.
A couple of years,
for aging,
no problem.
Not good to work in the bottle, but again.
Because the same as the natural corks, they can increase the quality, but they can also decrease the quality. Yes.
So you're gambling when you are using the natural
Exactly. And if in a box you find one wine that is better than the others, it means that at the beginning it was all the same. So you lost something.
While the wine is breathing a bit, doesn't need to be decanted like Barolo that we did earlier.
But something that we didn't tell before, all our wines are bottled under coverage of nitrogen, no added sulfites. So they have only the natural sulfites coming from the bunch. They need a little bit of air. The very moment you open the bottle, they are half value of what you paid. Then they come and they follow you during all the meal. But they need a very important ingredient, that is patience.
No, with the Barolo, people can utilize Coravin or similar tools, and they can go through the bottle for a whole week. Definitely Barolo, being Nebbiolo heavier, it can stay.
Yes, and Coravin is very good.
Yes,
talking technically is very good.
Definitely. So let's test it. Cheers.
Cheers. You see the difference compared to the Nebbiolo before. Nebbiolo goes in this licorice leather, bittersweet sensations, cherries under alcohol, so superior alcohols, and it is more serious wine. This is the French wine, so it is marmalade, it is plum, and so it's fresher. The tannins are Nebbiolo, the freshness and the acidity are Barbera.
So this wine goes well with different type of food as well. You could take it even with some seafood. If it's greasier, I can imagine with nice tuna steak.
Esatto. If you put some butter on top, if you have a stronger taste, you can go, no problems at all.
Very smooth. Even light cheeses can go with that.
Sì. And consider what we were talking before. Our antipasti, let me say, they are very strong. We talk about vitello tonnato, we talk about beef, we talk about mayonnaise. So a wine like this, you can go through all the meal.
And acidity cuts through that grease as well.
Sì.
Makes it more pleasant, more enjoyable. We touched the base with certain wines. We did around a bit more on Barbera di Alba and on
Which
Barolo.
are the most famous.
You also make Barbaresco.
Yes. And so all together we have 14 wines, but grapes are 7, because if you want to make an easy drinking wine, you have the top wine, so you select always in the fields. So it's a matter, the total quantity at the end is the same, but maybe you have 2 Barberas, 2 Nebbiolos, 3 Barolos, because the people can understand the difference between one and the other.
Them, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And Memundis is Chardonnay.
Yes, and in terms of name has no meaning. It's only the field where the plants are planted.
That's what I wanted to ask before, because sometimes people name their blends differently, and then the monovarietals, they keep them.
But this was, our farmhouse is not straight in Barolo area. It is 10 kilometers away in a small place close to Alba, higher, what we were saying, so fresh air, it's 480 meters. And this is also the reason why we produce white wines, because in Barolo the soil is so precious that you don't want to waste
it on white wines.
Yes, exactly.
And the high altitude helps the freshness of the white also.
And so over there we have the 𝐟𝐢𝐧𝐝, the Favorita, the Chardonnay, and a little bit of Viognier. We have the Moscato, the Barbera, and the Nebbiolo. All the rest is straight in Barolo.
I did not see the Moscato in Malta. Did you get it here as well?
Yeah. And people starts to enjoy it, because when you talk about sweet wines, they don't want to open the bottle, but when it is open, it is always empty.
It's a fresher Moscato, I can imagine.
It's only 5% of alcohol. It's the perfect swimming pool wine.
Favorita I already mentioned,
Vermentino made in Piemonte. The change of the naming Favorita is because it seems it was the favorite grape of the King Vittorio Emanuele, so there's also the king behind.
You can grow it there. I mean, the DNA is the same.
And since a couple of years we could write on the label Vermentino of Piemonte, but now people start to remember the name Favorita, so why we need to change it?
Exactly, because the region is familiar that they do Favorita. They call that grape Favorita. So there is always this small nitty-gritties. If you don't know about certain things, you wouldn't. You're not aware, for example, that this is different grape, or that this is the same grape. Are you pushing to find out where are the origins on Nebbiolo grapes, where are the origins of...
It's important to know that, because if you know where it comes from, where it grows better, where it is its habitat, you can make it better.
You can help you up, experiment, change the stuff.
At the opposite, there's some new clones, because the experimentation are following. So we are planting different Nebbiolos that are producing less quantity, more affordable with this climate change. So they are making roots that are deeper, so they can survive without any rain. So there's always something that's going on. And even if it is nature, we need to help it a little, because what we were talking before, because this year rains cats and dogs, next year rains 2 days, so those poor plants can't move and change shadow or not.
And they will not actually have time to adapt. Year by year, changing climate, it doesn't help.
So normally every year we change 2% of the plants because they naturally die, and we are replanting them with the new clones.
Only 2%? Usually there is some vineyards across Italy that I heard that they are replanting.
No, the ones that are 30, 40, 50 years, of course the elderly, they die more, but we don't replant. because those are the fathers
wines,
of
yes.
yes, exactly.
Wines.
So we leave them till they will not produce anymore, so we skip everything and we plant since the beginning.
When it comes to food, we mentioned it earlier, Piemontese style. What you can say that goes well with this type of wines that you have here?
Allora, our favorita can go also by itself as an aperitif or something pretty light, some vegetables, something that doesn't have too much butter of fat things inside. Then Chardonnay, consider it like a red wine. If you close the eyes, you can really imagine you have a red wine in your glass. Also, its aging potential is the same. We made a vertical tasting till the vintage 2014 and it was excellent. So fish, good fish, raw fish, shrimps, something like that is perfect. Cheeses, because the pairing with cheeses is always very dangerous. If you have a goat, if you have a sheep and you don't have the right aging, you can ruin some wines and make a disaster. So much better to go with the white wines. The style as our Chardonnay, that is a Burgundy style made in Piemonte. So we want you recognize Piemonte, but this is the line to follow. Barbera, we told it can go with whatever. This one is a Barbera Superiore, so a little bit more concentrated, something stronger. But if you have a game, if you have a pasta with game sauce, is perfect. Salami, it's the best friend with all the kinds of salami. Barbaresco, Nebbiolo, Barolo, the important things. So good meat, roasted meat, sauce meat, whatever it is cooked in wine, and the best things. Then the older, also meditation wine. So sitting in front of the TV and enjoying something good.
What is the challenges that you as a fourth generation and all ladies in the family faced in Italy growing the wine?
Argument as well. Allora, talking about us as girls, I'm old enough to live in a world where men, women, it doesn't make any difference. In production, there's techniques, there's machineries that help a lot. So my sister need the help of a couple of guys, but at the end, it's easy. Talking about me 25, 30 years ago, it was not that easy as it is today, because I always seemed younger than my age, so nobody was taking my words seriously. And Europe more or less, America more or less, going to Southeast Asia, it has been very tough. The contracts I needed my dad or my brother-in-law to come with me, I spoke and they signed. So it was not always the right mood, but it doesn't matter. Agricultural work has to do with men, and so to change mentality takes a lot of time. Today it's exactly the same all around the world, it doesn't matter. And so when my sister won for the first time this award we were mentioning, the Italian Best Wine, it was Barolo Bussia Vintage 2013, and it was her first bottling alone. So you can imagine how it was for her. She was walking half a meter from the soil because it was her mentality, it was what she liked, and wow, an award that important for the first time of her wine. And so it was a very
You
good
won that award twice.
Yeah, and then you got an award for the first time and the only one. Maybe it was a mistake. Then when it comes for the second time, it's the recognizing that you are making something good. And it was again Bussia Vintage 2019. And so yes, now we have the two of them in a corner on sale. But I tried the 13 some days ago. It was very good.
It's still good.
Yeah, it was very good.
What is the challenge that you're facing exporting wines? Because after the COVID, it was much harder and the costs went much
Mainly,
higher.
a lot of markets have changed a lot. The ones that specialized in the online during the COVID, they made a boom, and at the end of the COVID, they were losing everything. So, don't know. The most important what we face is about taste and food pairing. And for example, we are selling a lot of Moscato in Korea because they like the sweetness of the wine, because it reminds the sweetness of their kitchen. And in Germany, for example, they are not the same wines that we sell in Denmark, let me say. So every single market has another taste, has another style, so we need to face it. But the very first times you go there and you present the wines to the importer, you understand immediately. For example, in America we are selling mostly Barolo.
You will be really separated by that quality of wines that keeps you afloat on the top of the competition, though.
And yes, but really this year, so we are experiencing another change, much less quantity. We are selling much more the high-level wines, so maybe less, but only the best ones. So what it is not suffering but selling a little bit less is the regular ones. The top ones are always sold out. So for us, because we have the passion of what we are doing, it is a beautiful challenge, this one.
How do you lead the wine tasting usually?
Generally, I make always the same, and it is giving a couple of words and then focusing on the wines and mainly focusing on the harvesting, because we just finished. It has been a very difficult harvesting, and I think this time, this period of the year, it is what interests the most the people that comes, because you don't know, you weren't in Italy, you weren't in Piemonte with us, and so I share what happened in the last month and a half, and that it will be the next quality that they will expect.
How was the summer? Was it a dry year?
Yeah. And it was said tonight it is a little bit more masterclass, so I need to go deeper in these aspects, in the more technical things. Then I will see if I'm boring, I stop.
How many times you conducted masterclass here at Dical House?
Here in Dical House, every time I come, and it's the fourth or the fifth time I come. If there's someone that already met me, I have the news to tell them. So every year it's like a meeting that you expect.
So now it's too late to invite the new ones.
For next year, and I always come at the beginning of November, always.
Thank you for being our guests. Actually, we are guests here at Dical House, but you're guests at our show. And thank you for all lovely wines that we tested today. And I hope that you will have a successful masterclass tonight.
But sure, I will tell something.
Salute.
Salute.